What's good, people? Hey, how's it going? I'm just chilling outside, you know. I'm just relaxing, and there's certain things in life um, that people need to be aware of. The times are here. You know, we need to be getting things right with the Most High for how long we can, and worshiping and serving Him. I was saying, I don't know if I had another video out, but we don't know how long that we may have on this earth. The Bible says, while others are saying peace and safety, like a woman in labor pain, it be swiftly and suddenly, and there'll be no escape. But those are to your enemies. I don't want to make this about enemies, but like I said, when it comes to being who you are, there's nothing to hide. People don't truly understand me as it is, and I don't have all day. I don't have all day to explain things when people need to mind their own business, when people need to be housing me, when people need to be doing, figuring out, our allies coming into the country. Those should be the focus. Why make me a focus? And so I know there's not that much of a focus on me, but the enemy like to put that as a way of thinking that that's a way of fear tactic. And it's not. It's not a fear tactic, because God says you're not supposed to fear anybody. You're not supposed to fear anyone but Him. And so when you fear the Most High, it's a wonderful thing to know that He's going to cover you through all things, through everything. And, that's just what I'm saying in these last days. It's a wonderful thing. Finally the rain stopped. But, there's just so much people dealing with pain and hurt. And, they have to go to the Most High themselves and release that pain. I look at different neighborhoods and communities, like ones that I could possibly live in, and I determined that there's some rules behind being in a community. You have to determine, are you in a mixed community, meaning different races? Are you in an all black community? Are you in an all white or other community? Because there's some rules behind it. Believe it or not, to be a more of a good neighbor, when you're talking and communicating, that there's different things that happen in black communities and white communities, of course. But I'm gonna say the different things that happen in white communities, they have a more of a different approach. Excuse me. They have more of a different approach than a black person probably would. From what I noticed from I lived in all kind of communities throughout my 49 years. But I learned when you live in white communities, that's more white. They have some black in here, speck here, sprinkle here, whatever. When you live in those communities, white people are more curious, like, who are we living near? And I'm not saying that we aren't, but it's more curious, who am I living with, around? It sometimes gives them anxiety to know, who is this person? And so, because they know I don't want to be all in your face, I'd rather test you out. Because that's what this is about, the thing I'm in. I want to see what irks your nerve. This will tell me if you're a violent, that's how they determine it. This will tell you if you're a violent person or you're a meek, charismatic person, whatever. So they'll do things to try to, like park I don't want to say, well, park their car in front of your home, have the kids do things, and they're sitting there and they're wanting you as a black person to say something to them, because that's how they do. That's how they do. When they don't see something, they don't like it right, either they're going to say something to you, or they're going to wait till the neighborhood meeting or city hall and fester there, rant there. So when you see a white person, and I'm not saying this is the whole thing of white people, people are different. But I do know a lot of times when you're in those kind of communities, they're testing you out to see if you are angry, you're gonna explode or whatever, So that's what they do. They test things out, and when they test things out, they're expecting you to say something to them. If you just turn the other cheek, they think, okay, well, yes, that's neither here or there. That's how they look at it. So they're gonna find something else to do until you finally say something. So it's basically, like I said, when you're coming into a community, that's what I would do. I thought it all out, because I've had bad neighbors in every community, and this is before targeting. I can be sweet as pie and hey, and live next to a white person, and they have all kinds of things going on, and because they assume that I'm that type of black, I'm the hood chick. But I keep my house very clean and immaculate, and with certain things I don't do drugs or anything like that. So I've had I won't say fallouts, but you know what I mean, people who I really didn't care for that live next to me, and I care less if they there or not, because of how disrespectful they are, or they were scared to talk to me. And that's where you're not knowing that you're a child of the Most High. You're not caring about this, that, and the other. I just want a roof over my head, and me and my kids can live in, and that's what we're caring about. All we care about is getting out that front door, or we're coming in. Either we coming in or we leaving. We don't care. We really don't care. I'm just telling you the truth. That's how our family act. We don't really care what you got going on, but if you bring it to my attention, okay, there's something there that I can talk to you about. But I notice with white people, they do things to try to provoke you or to make you upset. It's just their testing ground to see if you're angry, so it's just better to just talk to them and tell them, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And tell you got some issues with their children, you introduce yourself to the kids and say, what, for whatever it is, I take care of my home, and my kids, we have a certain thing in my home. I got my home controlled. So when if my kids got to respect the rules, then everybody else has to respect the rules of my home that I'm paying on a deed or whatever you doing. And so, if you need something to call, if you got issues, call me. And that's kind of a better way of handling it. You know what I mean? Because they don't understand. Some of them don't understand. They don't understand. They don't understand that you from the hood, and you're thinking, hey, I finally got rid of the shootings and late at night and crazy, strange things and arguing, carrying on, and here I am. Now I got to deal with a whole nother mess. And when you're dealing with these things, stay positive always. Have your tone of voice being friendly and cheerful, because that helps. And but you can always look at them in the eye. If you can, look them in the eye and tell them, I keep to myself, and they know that. That they know that you keep to yourself, but it bothers them because some of them may never been around black people. That's the stereotype. If you look urbanish, they will have these things of what am I going to be expecting next to this person. And, you know, like I said, people had that with me. They had that with me, and then they realized, oh my gosh, I can't believe I even felt like that with you. In my past, we should have been, and even some of my old neighborhood was saying, we should have been nice and took, yeah. So it's just better, just come out to them, whoever you need to, if they have meetings or whatever, show up. You don't have to do it all the time, but just, this is who I am, this is my kids, and this is it. It helps, so you can have your privacy, do what you need to do. If you have that number or email where they can contact you, and if there's some form of a problem, you can get to them sometimes in 2-3 days or whatever you're gonna do. But I learned that from living in a pretty much dominant white neighborhood. When I was coming up, I didn't really care. I just be like, that's your problem. And you can't always get away with it, so you ain't saying nothing to me and I ain't saying nothing to you, so I'm in my house and you wherever you at. And that boils their blood when you're not communicating with them, and you're saying, why does it blow your blood? All you got to do is say something to me. If you have an issue with me or something, or you're trying to figure me out, the best way to know is to talk to me. And you're saying, the white people are saying, oh, well, we don't want to, they're contradicting it. Oh, we don't want to destroy your privacy, but we doing things to provoke you. And that don't make sense. So, I just should have came up with this a long time ago, because it would have saved me the headache from me being this and me going in on them, you know what I mean, on some of my neighbors. And, like I said, I had white, I had lesbian people live next to me, and, I don't care what a person does. I'm in my own home, and, I had my husband, and, things were great at that time. So, so I don't really judge. I just say, hey, you need something. But when they do things that's disrespectful, I'm calling you out on it. And you don't want to do that with me. Because when I finally call you out on it, trust me, it's hell. So that's just my little talk today. I'm enjoying the weather. I'm just trying to be in a positive vibe. Through things that happen. And I know I come on here at night, and it's just mostly so people can understand who I am. Okay? Who you subscribe to, because you may not want to subscribe to me. I'm a good God-fearing person, but this is an assignment that the Most High had created me. He's wanting me to expose the devil, and the devil has really taken a lot from me and my children. Now I'm divorced. I'm in a whole nother city, and I still got people, narcissists, trying to locate and follow me and find me and to be in amongst me, and instead of just trying to help me and elevate me, they're still coming down here. They're still hiding around here, trying to act like you're just targeted and you having these things going on, when it's some things that I've already done. I've already called the places that they said. I've written to certain places, and I'm still trying to get in employment with any one of those city, state government, local officials. Whether they let me in, they let me in. But if they don't, there's always a boss for every boss. So, you know what I mean? So, I'm being at peace. You know what I mean? But Georgia is a different state. You know what I mean? I never seen such of a lack down here of things that could be done. Even just going to get public assistance. They have a lot of Latina people. I don't know if they're immigrants or not, but the line be long, and it shouldn't take that long to do certain things. They only got really one person doing about 40 people in front of you. So that's a lot of people. So You know, I'm just saying the frustration of the system, you know, that you know, I've lived in different states and I've never had that as bad, but you know, it is what it is. You know, when you're getting something for free, and the thing is, I'm not getting any of those things. You know, not getting any of that stuff. But you know, I'm surviving by the grace of God. So, you know, He has His doors open for me. What's mine is mine, and no man can take it away. So, I'm just leaving you on those notes. You know, like I said, I'll try to be on. I know I've been kind of iffy this week due to my battery, you know, because a lot of times I don't know, my battery has drained out, especially all day today. This is the second time that I would have to charge my cell phone, and I'm saying, you know, why is that? You know, even if I was on it all day, I've never seen it drain so bad. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm not trying to be paranoid or not saying things, but you know, if there's someone on, and that's why when I've gotten on Twitter, I'll just share that with you. When I get on Twitter, it tells me that you know, because I have certain people that are higher up that could be on, you know, that are celebrities that I could talk to, and it won't let me because it's saying that someone is on my account. And I don't know what that means. So you know, I'm just saying that someone was on my Twitter account as to why I couldn't call this person. And so that's where, you know, it questioned like who's on my channels or lives and stuff like that. And you know, like I said, is, you know, I apologize to my subscribers if you've seen someone on there that shouldn't be. I don't have a moderator. If I do, you know, it's late at night, and so I apologize if you see some unseen stuff. You know, if you can let me know in the comment section or anything like that, because I'm not trying to let people who are like in their 60s sitting here and think that they can run and rule over me. I don't care if I knew you from the past. You know, you're nobody to me right now. You can't help me in my situation and circumstances. Then what's being in my chat gonna do? You know, yeah, you could like and subscribe if you want to. You can get off. But, you know, that's what I'm trying to talk about. That I'm trying to move on with my life, and there's people trying to pull on me when I don't need anybody pulling on me. I don't even have my children. So I'm just saying, you know, to my subscribers, bear with me. I get these rodents out of my comment section eventually, and move on. You know, some people are just bitter. You know, some people just lying and saying they know me. They want that check so bad from the city, state government, local officials that they willing to tell lies to say that they know me. You know, and that's where I you know, stop with my conversation at the bus stop sometimes. And you know, I'm a people person, but you know, it's caused people to think that I'm with her. You know what I mean? And we just holding a conversation because we waiting on the bus. But they'll say that I know her. You see what I mean? That's that part of that targeting thing. You gotta watch people who keep trying to connect to you. So that's it. Hopefully I'll see you all tonight, or you'll hear me tonight, because I do it at night. You know, so there's no distractions, hopefully. Well, I hope blessings be to you. May the Most High love you and keep you. Yahweh's name we pray, amen. Bye.